Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, tmosso at the1916company.com. It is in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Email us directly for pricing, tmosso at the1916company.com. Today we discuss a watch that's part of the long and distinguished continuity of Patek Philippe World Timers. This is the Patek Philippe World Time 5130/1G-011. The 5130 arrived in 2006, and it was discontinued with the arrival of the 5230 in 2016. Now, of course, there are enamel dial variants and there are models on straps and several different case materials. There was a lot of variety during that production run. The watch you see here is 39.5 millimeters in diameter with full factory bracelet in white gold. In profile, it measures 10.1 millimeters thick, and if we measure lug to lug, the case is 49.6 millimeters. If we add the end links to the bracelet, it's just a little bit broader at 50.4 with a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now, of course, when the 5230 arrived, two things changed dimensionally. Obviously, there were styling changes, but the new watch was smaller, and the new watch did away with the crown guard structure. And with the crown guard and the 39.5 millimeter diameter, especially when integrated with a bracelet, the 5130 really has presence. It doesn't look 1 millimeter larger than its successor. It looks a lot larger. So if you've got a big wrist or you don't want a tiny dress watch, this one's got the beef to keep up with your expectations. But you can also see that even on a bracelet, on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, even down the barrel, the fit's pretty good. From over the top, the lugs are right out to the edge of my wrist, but not beyond. And this angle always exaggerates the width of a watch across the wrist. This angle gives you a good shot of how it would fit under a cuff. With a domed bezel and a thin profile, it will easily work as a dress watch. Taking a quick look at the bracelet, it's a polished 5-link design. Plenty of gaps between the links. Really great if you live in a hot place. The UAE, Singapore, Hong Kong in the summer, Southern California, Florida, in the United States. You could really get the best out of a bracelet because unlike a strap, it doesn't get soiled by sweat. And again, unlike a strap, it vents really nicely with the gaps between the links. You can see here we have what's called gray gold. So in the modern era, Patek Philippe has been using what's called gray gold. It's white gold that's white all the way through and never needs a rhodium plate. Visually, it's a little bit warmer than a rhodium plated white gold, which will look like platinum. But the nice thing here is that it never needs to be rhodium plated, and unlike coated white gold, it's the same color all the way through. We have removable links fixed by pins and sleeves. Patek has its reasons for this, mainly that you can't wind up stripping a screw and stranding a link with pin sleeves, but it does require that you will have a block and punch if you want to size this at your house. We've got a double deploying clasp here. You can see one side closes, the other side closes. Then there is a clamshell lock with the Calatrava cross. You'll also see it on the rotor. You will also see it on the crown. It's the logo of Patek Philippe. Another little detail here, although pin sleeves aren't considered to be the most modern method of assembling a bracelet, you can see that it does use spring-loaded ceramic pin snaps here, which prevent the tolerances from getting loopy or loose over time, as this clamshell cannot wear down the ceramic. That's the idea right there. Rolling back to the case, it has these large, flowing, arcing, curved lug profiles. Everything is polished, the bezel is domed, and you have a pretty much continuous sweep of the bezel dome into the curvature of the case. You do have that crown, and you will note that there is a screwed-in case back, but the watch is a 30-meter water-resistant watch. Despite the screwed-in case back, it doesn't gain any additional water resistance versus, say, a snapback Patek. Taking a look at the dial, you can see that it features the Louis Cotier World Time system that Patek first started using on World Time wristwatches back in the 1930s. So Cotier's contribution is this 24-hour reference ring, which moves counterclockwise as the hands move clockwise. So you can see right here, if I'm in Anchorage, Alaska, it's 6 in the evening, and I know that because the little number next to Anchorage is 1800, not 6. So I could see it's 6 a.m. in Riyadh, but it's 6 p.m. in Anchorage, and I could see that it's 10 p.m. in New York, and I could see it's 10 a.m. in Bangkok. That's how you read it. The silver semicircle is approximately the places where it's day, and then you have this dark semicircle that's approximately the places where it's night. There's a little red wedge to remind you that London is GMT. You put your current city of origin up at 12 o'clock. Just remember this, the correct position is the one where the city is right side up. Now, there are more than 24 time zones, and that's fine. This is designed to give you a guide to the 24 principal time zones using representative reference cities, or at least reference cities that were representative of these times when the watch was made. That will shift. There's a guilloche center with white gold indices and hands, and then Patek and Cotier later developed the system to include quick setting mechanisms so you can rapidly set your city of reference. Now I've moved from Anchorage to London, and you can see London, well, you can see it's just past 3 a.m. in London. That's how that works. So it does all the math for you, really handy. If you want to adjust it manually, you do have the ability to do so using the crown, and then you can see everything moving relative to the reference ring. That is frozen in place when you adjust using the crown. On the reverse side, you have the caliber 240 HU, or Heure Universelle. It is the universal time version of the long-running caliber 240 micro rotor. Now, just in general, when you see a micro rotor automatic on a Patek Philippe, that indicates a more upscale or senior Patek model. In general, the less senior models get manual winds like the caliber 215 or something along the lines of a 324 or a 26 330 center rotor. So micro rotor means you're really getting the good stuff. So what is the advantage of a micro rotor? Well, it doesn't block your view of the case back, and it keeps the watch as thin as a manual wind, but it still gives you automatic winding. 48 hours of power reserve in this case, a 3 hertz beat rate. This is a 5-position adjustment, which is the same as you'll find on a lot of high horology watches and a standard chronometer. That's 5-position adjustment. You've got an anti-magnetic silicone hairspring, which is a nice refinement, makes it a little bit tougher, and then you can see all of this pivots on 33 jewels, and it's nicely decorated. It has the Patek Philippe seal, so you know it's supposed to run from the factory to exceptional tolerances of -3 + 2 seconds per 24 hours. That's when it's been freshly serviced at the factory. You can also see the movement's been evolved a bit over the years with ceramic bearings for the winding mass, which is 22 karat gold. That makes it more efficient, reduces maintenance requirements. The finishing is exactly what you'd expect on previous versions of this watch with the Geneva hallmark, but from mid-2009, you got that Patek Philippe seal. Same standard of finish, just a different signature. Reportedly, Patek did not love the idea that Roger Dubuis and even Cartier would be getting Geneva seal left and right, so they moved away from that standard. And then you can see that we have bevels, we have engine turning, we have satination on wheels, we have black polished screw heads with chamfered slots and circumference, we have Geneva waves on both the rotor and the bridges. It's all very, very good looking and impressive and equal to the reputation of Patek Philippe. So if you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916 Company for purchase and pricing details.